Okay, everybody, so I was planning on doing this video outside for y'all, but due to the fact that it's so windy and I'm literally about to get blown over, I finally just debated with myself and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this one again in my car for the billionth time. And, you know, because I felt like Mary Poppins. I felt like I was just gonna whip out my umbrella and just like either blow over or blow away, you know, because this, I don't know why, but this wind all of a sudden, like it's just this, the first time I've noticed it was this spring. All of a sudden, it feels like I'm in Kansas. Like, I do not know why. The wind is just absolutely nuts. But that's neither here nor there, okay? Because with this video, you not only get to see me again, but you also get to hear me talk about more about my traveling experiences around the globe, okay? Not only around the United States will come later, okay? Because I've had the honor, I've had the pleasure, and I've had the absolute blessing of being able to travel to several countries around the globe, which has been absolutely incredible, a ton of fun. So I did a ton of videos, like a ton, okay? A ton of videos about my trip to Spain. So that was cool. And then I did a video yesterday about my family trip down to St. Lucia, which was absolutely incredible. Okay, if you ever have the opportunity to go down there, make sure you stay at the resort Coconut Bay, because they just did an absolutely incredible job with every single aspect of the trip. Yeah, it was just great. It was just a great resort. So make sure when you go down to St. Lucia, go to Coconut Bay. But like I also said in the last travel update video, I am now talking about my 2-week trip to China. Okay, so to give you a background story, because I want to make sure, you know, we get every single detail right on this trip, because this trip was absolutely incredible. So I went to, let's start the story out the right way. So I went to St. John's High School in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, okay, which is the top private high school in central Massachusetts. Honestly, in my opinion, should be the top private high school in the entire state of Massachusetts, but honestly, it's at a point, you know, where they have to unfortunately compete with a whole bunch of other schools in the area, and as well as in Massachusetts, you know, especially out towards Boston, you know, Boston does have some good schools. I will admit that. So they offered this trip to China every other year for 2 weeks in the summer. And so when I was a freshman, they had it, and at that point, you know, I was a little too young. I didn't really have the courage to go. But by my junior year, okay, so like it was neat because my high school offered multiple languages for us to take, and we only had to take them for a requirement of 2 years. But what I did was I was able to take Chinese as a language. I was able to take it for 4 years. I ended up taking it all 4 years just because I found so much enjoyment out of it, and I was able to just absolutely excel with it. And I thought it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the class. Definitely learned a ton. The teachers I had for it were absolutely incredible. I had the same teacher for my first 2 years of high school, and then I had a different teacher for the last 2 years of high school, you know, both for the 2-year chunks, like 2 different teachers for the 2-year chunks or 2-year segments. And both teachers I had were awesome, incredible, definitely major mentors of mine, definitely 2 people that I look up to a lot. And so the teacher that I had my senior year, she was one of the teachers that was running the trip. And another one of the teachers that was running the trip was one of our religion teachers that we had. Spent a lot of time at the school teaching already, as well as the teacher that taught me Chinese. She went with us as well. She has spent a ton of time at the high school already. She is the head of the foreign language department. And then we had another teacher come with us as well, who's teaching the Chinese language. So all 3 of these teachers that went with us were incredible. And if I would have not wanted any other person to go with us, any other people to go with us. Okay, these 3 people were absolutely incredible. And so it was really, really neat. And, you know, we had several planning meetings, you know, beforehand, you know, just to make sure every single thing that we were doing was on the itinerary. And we got a great, you know, obviously since we went through, like on the trip through the school, we got an incredible deal. And that was the same thing with our Spain trip too, quick point, you know, because both schools, you know, my college paid for most of the Spain trip. And then my high school was able to pay for most of the trip to China. So that way, you know, obviously I still had to pay for it out of pocket, but, you know, it was a heck of a lot less than I would have, you know, if I just went on if I just did the trip on my own. And so there was one big thing that they were potentially going to add to the trip before we went, and that was to visit the Disney in Shanghai. So that was really cool, and we had a vote on whether to do it or not, and we voted to do it. So I will talk about that journey here later on, because I will be doing multiple, at least a few video segments about my trip to China, because it was just such an action-packed trip where I will try to condense it as much as I can, but I will take at least 1 or 2 other videos to explain it. So yeah, just to give you a forewarning, we went to Disney in Shanghai. All right. So to quickly talk about the flight over there, the flight over there was pretty interesting. I mean, I love planes, so I definitely got a lot of time on the plane, which was awesome. My aviation extravaganza was definitely filled up pretty quickly. So what we did, and forewarning too, I never lost my bag on these flights like I did on the trip to Spain. So, you know, I won't be talking about that as excessively on this trip. So you're welcome. Thanks to me too for my vocal cords, you know, not having to say the phrase "I lost my bag" so many times. And so what we did was you know, it was interesting the way our airlines set up the flight for us, because our original expectation was to go from Boston out to somewhere in California, and then, you know, from California over the Pacific Ocean over right on into China. But what they did, okay, y'all ready for this? What they did was they had us fly on Air Canada from Boston to, pretty sure it was, the first city we went to was Toronto, and then from Toronto, Canada, again on, you know, flying Air Canada. They had us from Toronto, go from Toronto on Air Canada over to Beijing, China. All right, so that first segment of the flight, I'll tell you, was very, very quick. Okay, so going from Boston to Toronto was only maybe in 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, like super quick, super easy. We're all in high spirits. Okay, because we're like, oh great, we just got, you know, the first segment of the flight knocked out of the way pretty quickly. Like, come on, the rest of the trip's gonna be a piece of cake. Ha, nope. Okay, because we had that second leg of the trip from Toronto over to Beijing. And that segment of the flight was about at least 16 or so hours. Okay, so in total, if you can add 16 plus 1 for me, okay, just as pretty much a rough estimate, at least 17 hours on a flight. Okay, congratulations. I just did math. Okay, and you just did math, because 16 plus 1 is 17. Okay. So that was a long time on an airplane, guys. So that's why I was saying earlier, you know, my love for aviation was filled up pretty darn quickly. Yeah, so with that being said, you know, I'm not the greatest at sleeping on airplanes or in cars. So that was pretty brutal too. Yeah, so needless to say, that 16 plus 1 hour flight was actually a long flight. All right. And so, I tried, watching movies and, trying to doze off, but my body was just in such a funk that my body did not want to fall asleep, yet my body did not want to stay awake either. So I was in that weird middle phase of my body just not knowing what it wanted to do. Two halves of my body were fighting against each other. One part of my body was like, heck yeah, let's fall asleep. And the other part was like, heck no, we're going to stay up. We're going to go crazy because we're on an airplane. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to watch a ton of more movies because why not? And so as you can tell, the jet lag is starting to really build up at this point. Like, it's starting to build up even more. Okay. And so after sleeping like at a very little amount, we powered through. We made it through. I was able to talk with some of my friends, okay? And they do recommend that every, like once or twice an hour, at least, okay? That you get up, you walk around the airplane, which is good, because obviously you need to use the restroom every once in a while, so that was good, kind of knock out two birds with one stone. And so it was nice being able to, get up, interact with folks, check in with everybody, like all my friends that went on the trip, see how everybody was doing. And so by the time we got off the plane, like on our our final destination in Beijing, I slept very little, okay? I got up a ton. I feel bad for the lady sitting next to me because she probably was pissed off at me at that point because of the amount of times that, I got up. And I feel bad because the poor lady was trying to fall asleep and I kept, like, tapping her shoulder, be like, hey, can we get up again? Please, come on, I need to get up. And I'm sure that lady was super wicked happy to finally, like, get off that airplane and never have to deal with me again. And I was super thankful for it too, because I understood that completely. And I was like, thank goodness, and that lady will never see me again. I'm sure she's thrilled about it. And so we got off the airplane, went through the airport. The architecture of the airport was really cool. And the airport was absolutely packed with people. Okay, and as soon as we got out of the airport, we did see a little bit of the pollution, but it was super neat being able to see how just the way the airport in Beijing is China's capital. It was neat to be able to see how like the airport was able to the way they facilitated it in a different country, especially in China, with it just being a high-tech country and obviously a country on the total opposite end of the world too. So it was a neat experience going through the airport. Really high-tech, really sophisticated. Okay, they also had a whole bunch of those trams where you had high-tech trams where you had to go from one end of the airport to another. It was just super cool. And then we were able to take obviously a bus from our hotel, from our airport to, actually I'm pretty sure we went to a place where we had dinner first before we went to our hotel. Okay, and I've got to say right off the bat, okay, the food is incredible over in China. Okay, it's the real deal. No fake gimme greasy stuff. Okay, so we were eating like royalty over in China. The food was awesome. And so we ate dinner, we went to bed, and then we went to our hotel. The hotel was absolutely incredible too. The hotels that we stayed in were basically 4 to 5 star hotels. Okay, so top of the line, luxurious hotels. And oh my goodness, they were beautiful hotels. Awesome rooms, very high-tech rooms. And yeah, and I slept wonderfully that night, okay? Like absolutely incredible. So I am at like way over my video limit for what I usually do. So tomorrow I will continue my series on Beijing, China, and like the rest of the China trip in general. Okay, we'll definitely try to speed things up, kind of just talk about some of the major points, rather than all the nitty gritty stuff. So you kind of get an idea of what to kind of expect if you ever want to go over there in the future. So, with that being said, it's peace out from the Stady Dream Team. See you later from Jason J. Statham, and until I see y'all again, be well, stay safe, and find enjoyment out of anything, all right? Peace out.